What up, boys?
Yeah.
Welcome to
What's
the
good?
PKT Community Roundtable. It's Wednesday, December 18th. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Pretty good. Taxation is theft, apparently.
That it is.
Oh yeah.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah, that's nothing has changed. I'm gonna take a second to share this with everybody and get our community online.
Yeah,
But we have a special day today. It's DNS is here. Is that right, Caleb?
big infrastructure launch, utility launch.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. I'm gonna share this with everyone and get it retweeting. If you guys are in here, click the like and share this video so that we can get the community in here, and we can start talking about what DNS is actually, what this means for the Packet project, and how it's going to roll out. Caleb, maybe you want to kind of dive into it and explain to people what's going on.
Yeah, so today's the day that the first person's going to be able to start registering domains. They're not going to resolve yet. That's going to be next. But the first person's going to be able to take a stab at grabbing up packet, pkt.packet domains. So as a reminder how this domains work is that the domains you stake and earn with them, those are public, registered with a registrar. And then the domains that you're going to be able to register starting today are inside the network. So you register with a smart contract. When you register a domain name like cgd.packet, then everybody who's staking their domain like packet.industry or packet.whatever, cgd.pkt. Any one of those is going to resolve to your website, or in this case, my website. So it creates a really robust solution because there's just a lot of domains, so it's very hard to take them down. And it's something that it binds together blockchain domains, like what's been done many times, with actual real world usability, where anyone can just use that domain on the regular internet. That's short of it.
Talk a little bit about the resiliency, side of this and what makes this really special, and in particular, kind of comparing it to other, DNS projects out there.
Well, I mean, the big difference between this and any other, all the blockchain DNS projects are hyper resilient, but nobody can use them. Then the other extreme is that you register your domain name on whatever company, and those have pretty much, I mean, depending on where you register it, usually the resilience level is pretty much zero. Somebody can make a phone call and your website goes down. It's kind of shoot first, ask questions later. Website goes down, and then they'll figure it out after, and maybe your website will come back up after you discuss with them. So in this case, you kind of have a good happy medium in between, where your website is registered on a blockchain, so that's not going away, but it's also resolved through numerous public domains instead of just one. So if one were to get taken down, that wouldn't do much good, because you're just going to have 49 more.
Just to clarify, though, and I think this is important for people to have context around, is the top level domain is basically versatile. It only if you're in the Packet network itself. So if you're navigating within the Packet network, just caleb.pkt will navigate you to the website, and that's the kind of backbone of that resilience. But when you're talking about coming from outside of the Packet network, particularly, the internet at large, then you need that third level domain to be part of the URL that you're passing out so that people can actually get to that website. But under the circumstance that that third level domain was to get taken down or to no longer be staked, you could swap out that third level and still have people getting access to your website. So
Yeah, and in a lot of cases, it just won't get taken down because when you realize that, well, yeah, you could take it down, but it's just going to be 50 others.
sure,
They won't. They'll take a more circuitous route with, like, for example, sending a letter instead of riding in on horseback and yanking the domain and then just a show of force.
yeah, true. But when people do build websites in the Packet network and want them to be accessible, from the larger internet, they'll want to pick the third level domain that they are including in that URL. So it'd be, caleb.pkt.network or something of that nature that's specifically staked into the
You mean the
that
top
domain.
level? Yeah, the top level whose domains are written backwards.
Sure.
So .packet whatever is the top level. The third level is the one that you registered.
Got it. Yeah. True. Yeah.
Whatever.
But I mean that you need all three is kind of what I was trying to say. Maybe I was
Yep.
saying it the wrong way. But yeah, you need basically to pick the top level that's going to be associated with your website, even though essentially every staked top level domain will get you to that website. So,
Yep.
And what's the number of staked top level domains right now within the Packet ecosystem? I saw that the packetnode.network website has now a list of top level domains that have been staked, and it looks like a pretty
really?
long list.
I don't know.
Jared, do you want to bring it up?
By my memory, it was something like
Yeah.
40.
What am I bringing up right now?
The packetnode.network.
Oh yeah,
Looking at how many top level domains have been staked into the network so far.
Yeah, let me pull it up real quick.
It's pretty impressive. And I also believe that there is a new, or at least work in progress, decimation tracker on the packetnode.network website as well.
69. I'm not sure all of those are fully functioning, but
All right, you guys can see this.
it's
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
So this is
active
45.
domain, 45. So
45.
that must be it.
Yeah. So 45. So yeah.
And then these are the available ones still.
Which is impressive. I mean, there's, what does it say? 1,219 available domains to be staked. So
Yeah.
a lot of options still available out there for people who want to get domains.
But
I
a
think
lot of
it's-
those it's never gonna work. But like packet.AAA, AAA is just run by AAA, and they're not gonna give out subdomains. So you have to kind of pick through those because a lot of them they're just it's a vanity top level domain by a company like packet.walmart. You're not gonna be able to get that.
Dang.
Yeah, but I also think for the community to realize that your yields using domains are not going to be nearly as lucrative as they would be if you're doing a CJDNS node. So it is to be, because of the ease of setting up a domain and pairing it, it's not as difficult, and it obviously doesn't, it's just a different type of node. So the payouts are going to be a lot less than they would be if you were to set up a CJDNS node.
Yeah, I definitely want to, on this stream today, talk about CJDNS nodes. And I also want to talk about a new service that is being put together to help people set up CJDNS nodes. So that is something we'll talk about a little later. But I want to stay on topic with this.
Before
on the
we
DNS
get
side.
off this domains, just a word of caution is that I think if you have a lot of packet, you should have one domain. And the reason is because there's no limit on how many yield credits you can assign to it. And yes, CJDNS nodes are more lucrative right now, but that may not be true forever. And if all the available domains have been purchased, then there's going to come a point where you just cannot get packet dot anything, or it's a secondary market and it's like $1,000. So I think it's a good idea to have, one packet domain in your back pocket.
Yeah, there's a couple
Yeah.
people that went off and bought several packet top level domains. Not necessarily a huge benefit there, but I will say this. If you do have multiple stakes and or let's say you have, one stake that is, you kind of almost have like multiple accounts, if you will, that are yielding. Let's say you have one that's just particular to LP staking and you have a long-term LP stake going, and one that you're doing maybe a short-term packet staking, initiative with, and maybe another one that you're, staking that's like a shared wallet with somebody. You would need and let's say there are large stakes over $5,000, then you would need a packet domain for each one of those stakes. So that is something to take note of, as yes, you should have at least one, but if you have multiple wallets, you'll need multiple domains to stake for each one of those wallets. Or the alternative, again, we'll talk about this a little bit later, you'll want to do CJDNS nodes. And now that a lot of people have staked into these packet domains, the yields have certainly gone down. And I think generally, and this is what gets me really thrilled around the initiative relating to utility and in particular infrastructure, is that if your goal is to maximize your yields, which it should be, then you're going to want to diversify how you're staking and in particular your infrastructure to maximize your yields. And so there's certain things that you can do specifically with domains to maximize your yields. Caleb, just quickly, why don't you talk through a couple things that you can do to maximize your yield and a couple things that you could do that can ultimately diminish your yields or penalize your yields on the domain side?
On the domain side, well, I think the thing that will penalize your yields is if your domain's not set up correctly. That's that's going to be rough. As far as maximizing yields, I mean, if your domain is in a small country, like a country code domain in a small country registered with a local registrar, then you're going to get a lot of bonus points there, because you have a bonus that's divided up between all the people who are using the same registrar, and then another bonus divided up between all the people that use the same company that runs the top level domain. So, like .fr is just, it's just for this French government, it's their only top level domain. But something like .xyz is this Moondog company that also operates like 50 other top level domains. So that's something you just have to kind of pay attention to, is that the top level domain is run by a company, and that's a different company from GoDaddy or Namecheap. So that's the thing you need to pay attention to, is where you register it, and who your registrar is, and what kind of top level domain it is. Country code domains are always going to be more unique than vanity top level domains, because the vanity ones are just run by half a dozen companies that registered all of them, and all the country ones, it's really just specific to the country. And then so you've got that side, and then the other side is getting your registrar to be really rare and unique, ideally in the same country as where the top level domain authority is, because the third metric is based on country. And so if you have, you might have the most unique top level domain ever, like Virgin Islands or something, but then if you registered it with like GoDaddy, then that's going to be considered an American domain, because GoDaddy is an American company, and the country of your domain is the less advantageous out of the two, between the country of the registrar and the country of the top level domain authority. So those are the things to pay attention to. I mean, the best move is to register a domain, a country code domain of a small country, using a local registrar to that country. So it's just, you're probably the only one.
Yeah, it's a good point. The other piece that, and we've been seeing having a lot of issues with this, in particular, GoDaddy has been a big loser. I haven't figured out how to get the domain working that I have on GoDaddy. So ultimately, and the yields off of GoDaddy are are very low. And I think that's because GoDaddy is a US registrar. So any domain in the US is going to be diluted. The yields for that territory are going to be diluted. So yeah, just figuring out how to move, you can ultimately move your domain. I think it takes somewhere between 7 and 14 days to do that. You can ultimately, I guess you're going to have to move your domain off of GoDaddy, because I put a bunch of time into it, and yeah, it's just a tough one. I'm not sure what is the deal here with that, but hopefully we can get it solved.
Yeah, they're doing some kind of a self-test. There's GoDaddy and there's one other company, a German one that we talk about in the Discord from time to time. They're doing some kind of a test of the name server before authorizing it, and that test is not working, and we don't know what it is exactly that they're testing. So we can't it's hard to upgrade that name server to address what they're looking for, because we just don't know what it is that they're looking for. So that's the problem right now, and that's what's making GoDaddy and this other company's registrars not work correctly. But fortunately, it's really just a registrar problem. They shouldn't be doing this test at all. It's really pointless. But anyway, fortunately it's a registrar problem, so it's not going to completely ruin a top level or a domain. It's just going to make it so that you have to transfer it to another registrar, at least for now. And maybe we'll find the solution and fix it, but it's hard to make any kind of guarantees about this, because we literally don't know what it is that they're looking for, and their support, they're not willing to tell us.
And I got a question. So let's just say, so you're saying like, sorry, if you go and have a domain, let's just say you have pkt dot, net or whatever, pkt.go, but you also have a CJDNS set up on like a VPS in South Africa, and you paired both of those with the stakes that you have. You just paired your infrastructure node, your domain, and your CJDNS. You're going to get like maximum yields. Is that right?
Yeah. Right now, so actually, let me share my screen so I can show you how this works.
Yeah, share your screen. I'll put it up onto the main board. Also, real quick, if you're in this on this stream, if you guys can go and hit the repost button, so that we can blow this thing up and get a bunch of people in here. It's super easy. If you're here and you're enjoying this conversation, let's share it and spread this far and wide.
All right, so let's see, infrastructure. This is I've got some CJDNS nodes, and I've got some one domain. These are CJDNS nodes. You're limited to $5,000 worth of assigned yield credits, and that's at the time of assignment. So it can go over after you've assigned it, but you're limited to 5,000 at the time of assignment. The number you want to track here is current daily yield per million credits. That's per million yield credits. So for every million yield credits assigned, a CJDNS or a VPN will get you 500 packet, and a domain will get you 121. So CJDNS is more lucrative right now, but you can see that I can only assign 5,000 worth of yield credits to my CJDNS nodes, and I can assign a lot more to my domain. here. And by the way, something that exists, but it's not in the UI, but if you need it, I can advise you how to do it. It's possible to move your yield credits from one account to another. You need to keep it staked, obviously, in the other account. But if you look at my staking page, you'll see I don't really have any significant size stakes. But I have like 140,000 yield credits. Those are assigned over from another account. You have to do it in the Block Explorer with the smart contract interaction, but you can assign. So you don't need to necessarily have a domain for each of your wallets. You can actually assign yield credits from one wallet to another.
Oh, that's cool.
Um,
Oh, well, then I stand corrected. That's a cool feature that I didn't know about. So,
yeah, it's a little bit of a secret because I mean I don't want to have too much support requests, but and it should honestly be in the UI, but it's just you paste the address into the right place and then you do a smart contract interaction, and it will those yield credits will come out in that other address. So yeah, that's how I have very little stakes over here, and then over here I have 124,000 yield or 124 million yield credits. So while we're here, let me give you guys a little bit of an intro to the DNS page. So DNS, I've already registered a couple of names, particularly the ones that are subdomains of packet.cache, because I do want to eventually stake packet.cache. So to register a domain, most people are going to be locked out of this, and for now, it's one person per day is getting access in the order that people voted for me and for the network steward. But right now, you click register a domain, and it tells you what's the minimum value of stake that you need to have in order to register the domain. So that's a pretty small number, but I'm going to grab that and then go and make a stake. Let's see. And I'm going to make it a little bigger because I don't want it to be up against the limit. I'm just going to give it a name and say it's, let's see, I'll call it CJ Delisle. And just 1 month is fine. It doesn't matter. It's a very, very small stake. And you have to have a stake in order to register a domain. The minimum value of that stake is based on the rate at which people register domains. So every hour, the required value halves, and every time a domain is registered, the value goes to twice what that domain was registered at. So basically, you don't want to register a domain using a stake with a lot of money in it, because then that will kind of lock you out from registering again for a long time. It will also lock everyone else out. It's a shared thing. It's just basically a dynamic pricing. So I made my stake. Go back to the DNS page. cjdelisle.packet. Rules for this name. It cannot have a dash at the end or the beginning. It can have it in the middle, and it can't have any other characters like a dot. It has to be all lowercase for DNS compatibility. DELIS. Okay, and select that one, and then click register. And this does 2 phases: pre-registration and registration to prevent front running and a bunch of boring security stuff. But this is what exists now, and what people one by one are going to be getting access to. And then what will be coming very soon will be the ability to also put DNS records. Oh, look at that. Didn't work. Let's try it again. If it doesn't work, try it again.
I got a question, Caleb.
So, good live demo.
So
Yeah,
after after you register, since you only did your stake for a month,
Yeah.
what happens after the month is up? Will the DNS be gone, or how does that work?
As long as you don't actually physically unstake it, like click unstake, you're fine. I have to add more assets in order to what's it 0.00006. You're fine as long as you don't actually click unstake.
Even if
But
it's not, what if it's not on auto restake? Won't it automatically unstake? And in that case,
no, it will go into a state that's matured, but you have to click to finalize the unstaking of it. And as long as you don't click that button, it still exists. Yeah,
I see. So, and if you're aside from the DNS, let's just say you have a stake going and it's paired to a infrastructure node, but it was you only had it staked for a month. It matured. Do you continue yielding on it even though you haven't unstaked it, or does that stop yielding?
No, you don't. You do not yield unless it's actually locked up. So those yield credits go away, but the domain is not in jeopardy unless you actually destroy the stake.
Right. So that's important for people to know who stake for short periods of time. That if your stake matures and you don't either restake it, you're not earning. So it's if you plan to do a longer stake, then it's in your best interest to do auto restake, just so that you can continue yielding, and then each month you can decide whether you want to take the coins back. But the longer you stake, the higher your X multiplier will become. So if you stake for a year, you're going to get a 4X multiplier. And then the less amount of time staked decreases your X multiplier. So that's just something for the community to know.
Yep.
Also for the community to know that if you're not paired with an infrastructure node, you're not yielding anymore. So the faucet has been turned off so if you want to continue earning on your stake, so if you stake for a year and you don't have an infrastructure node, whether a domain or a CJDNS node paired, you're locked in, but you're not yielding. So you better get on it. You can go online. I was even looking yesterday. You can get a VPS for, I saw one for like 90 cents a month.
So this thing has worked now. So I've now registered CJ Delisle, and that'll hold as long as I keep that stake staked. If ever you get that error that happened, or any error, you may need to add a little bit more coins to your stake, but which I did, and then I ran it again, and this time it was fine. So that's the walkthrough. Coming in the very near future is going to be enablement of this manage button, and then after that you'll be able to actually put subdomains and also put DNS records on these, which is what's going to cjdelisle.pkt. whatever is going to point to those DNS records.
Did you mention about how it doubles every time someone registers a domain?
Right. Yeah. So the pricing is based on when the last 0.0000011. Yeah. So the price is twice what if you register whatever the stake is that you just put in. The price becomes twice that, but then it decays by 50% every hour. So it's as long as you're prepared to wait a little bit, the price goes way down to almost nothing. But if it's like a lot of people trying to register a lot of domains at the same time, then the price will shoot up to whatever people are willing to pay.
And then what's the decay?
50% per hour.
So if you're going to go register a domain, don't register 5 million packet to it.
Right, because then it's going to go to 10 million, even if the limit was 0.00000001. If you do actually register with 5 million packet stake, you're blocking yourself from registering anything else.
Right. And everybody else, right? So it's not just you, it's every person on there. So I'm sure somebody's going to do something stupid and just be like, haha, it'd be so funny if I did this. But you're not going to be able to register. So if you wanted to go get a block of domains and you went and did something like that, then you're just going to have to sit around and wait until or go buy more packet.
Yeah. It's not a good idea to register with a big stake. We've talked at some point about making a tool where you can automatically create a stake and register all in one transaction. Doesn't exist right now. Maybe it will exist in the future. There's a lot of stuff to do. That could be one of them. When you register a domain, so you got to keep that stake in order for that domain to stay alive. If you wanted to transfer the domain to somebody else, by transferring to them the stake, the domain will go with it. So the domain is just attached to that stake. The NFT of the stake is the owner of the NFT of the stake is the owner of the domain.
Yeah, I mean, what gets me so excited about this is just I own dozens of domains that I'm paying for every single month, and yeah, it's just it's annoying that you got to pay for those, and so by staking fractions of packet, which is fractions of pennies, you're able to have domains for life. And yeah, even if it resolves, josh.pkt.tv, and that's my new address, like that's rad. So yeah, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, for stuff like a little blog or something, this is absolutely ideal. It's basically free. You're never going to have to think about it again, and you're just going to have a domain.
And just for resiliency, like you have, we're working out partnerships with all kinds of different partners. And yeah, I mean, it's like, why wouldn't you want a site? We're working with like gambling sites. We're working our partners working with, crypto partners. Why wouldn't you want to just have your site in a place where it's just going to live forever and you don't have to worry about anything? It's not even about doing something nefarious or illegal or whatever. It's just being able to have your site in a place that just lives forever.
Yeah, well, also I was just looking at the credit card bill. Got a $425 credit card bill from GoDaddy for all the domains that we have registered over there. It's like it's insane. It's a crazy amount of money. I think that one of the things that the public has just become accustomed to is that you have to pay some ridiculous fee for the rest of your life. You want to hold a domain, and especially if it's like a important domain to your business. I mean, you might have to buy that domain for a lot of money. I've seen people spend thousands, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy a domain that they, want, like yourcompanyname.com, or if you're starting a business or bidding on a domain that you think is important. That whole aspect of our digital economy is pretty ingrained, and people have just accepted it. Hey, I either can afford it or I can't afford it, or I have to spend all this money to get it. And then once you get it, you're paying for the rest of your life as long as you want it. And the second that you miss a payment, you lose it. Someone else can take that from you, and then they keep renewing it. You'll never get it back. I actually have a friend who started a company, and she had a domain for her company, and she was thinking about shutting the company down and or transitioning it, and just for a little lapse of time just didn't renew the domain, and somebody took it, and because it had a lot of SEO on it, and they just put a bunch of trash on that website. Just use it as a forwarding site to to sell trash. So now forever that brand is now associated with the domain owned by someone who's doing some trashy stuff with that site. If you had staked that same site into the packet network due to the low cost of maintaining that domain forever, you would never have to worry about losing it. Now, this will bring forth a change, and I think there is going to be a little resistance to having specifically these domains resolving from the grander internet that you're going to have .pkt top level domain. So maybe it's not as sexy as .com or .net or .xyz or something like that, but who cares? It's free. And I think that there's some cool domains out there. You can figure out a top level domain that you vibe with that's out of the 40 or 50 that are currently staked, and I think we'll start to see dozens if not hundreds more get staked, and just enjoy free domains, free, censorship resistant, resilient, globally accessible domains. So 45 active domains that are staked, and there's some really cool ones that are still simplified, if you will, right? So you got like .gg, .studio. So there's some cool ones in there, and .wiki. Whoever got that one, it's a great one.
Those ones are already taken, because I'm recognizing some of them.
No. I'm saying that those are already taken, but so I can build my website on jesse.pkt.studio.
Yep.
And I'm just saying, when you're choosing a domain that you want to start promoting on a business card or on a website, as to how you access your website that's built in the packet network, where your domain is staked in the packet network, but people from the outside internet will be able to access it. You'll need to pick a top level domain after the PKT part of it, because if I type in caleb.pkt into Google, it's not going to resolve to your website, right?
Right. So something else to keep in mind is you kind of want to be sure that the domains that you're using as your top level is somebody who's in it for the long haul. If they're not reliable about staying staked, and they might just unstake one day, then that would be bad news for your.
How would you do that? How would you make that determination that someone's in it for the long haul? I mean, what are the characteristics of that?
Well, it's kind of the same as with anything. It's a gut check. The people who keep things running for a long time keep things running for a long time.
It'd be awesome. It'd be awesome. I just want to put it out there. Look, ultimately, what this was meant to be, this is a community operated project, right? So 45 people, I have no idea, 45 domains, not necessarily 45 people, but 45 domains have been staked. So technically, someone could build a website that's specific to your top level domain that you staked and say, hey, we're here for the long haul. Like, this is who we are. This is the brand and business that is behind this, and create some identity for yourself, and to build trust within the community that people should use your top level domain as their top level domain for their business. Really building trust in that. And it is a good point, because whereas you may have staked or gone and got the domain for your business name.pkt, it's great. But again, when you're putting it on your website, putting it on your business card, promoting it in some way, shape, or form online, and you want people from from Google to be able to access that website, you're going to need to pick a top level domain. So you're going to want to know that top level domain is here to stay. So if you're one of those people who staked .studio or .gg or .live, then it'd be awesome if you built a website for that, and we start seeing more websites actually pop up in the network. So that's kind of the next phase of this, is starting to see people actually build stuff in the packet network. For example, hub.pkt pkt.cache is built in the packet network, and we're starting to see other things start to pop up. I'd love to see more. And I think that will be the next kind of frontier of this project, is people actually building real things, real, it could be e-commerce, it could be a blog. It could be, anything for that matter. I mean, we're trying to build streaming sites and trying to create duplicates of websites that are built in the actual, grander internet, but specifically have their version, censorship resistant version, in the packet network. So
I just forgot. I should have registered onion.pkt so I could put up a Tor bridge.
Yeah.
I was thinking about doing that, but
so yeah, let's talk about Tor real quick, because you and I are having this conversation the other day. So let's talk about what are some of the similarities and differences between what the Tor and the Onion network represent and what Packet represents. This has been like, obviously this well, but it's cool for people to understand where the similarities and differences exist.
Tor is designed to be anonymous. CGDNS anonymity is incidental and limited. The reason why you may have some anonymity with CGDNS is just because you connect to the nodes you want to connect to, and you can only just connect to trusted nodes that aren't going to rat you out. Tor is designed so that everybody automatically connects and to get as much anonymity as possible. Tor is also has some centralized servers that's well kept secret of the Tor project, is that there is a need for central servers in order to introduce everybody. CGDNS, you can just connect a CGDNS node to a CGDNS node, and that's that. CGDNS is faster. It's a lot faster, and that's why they use it in why they made CGDNS support added to the Bitcoin Core node, was because it had Tor support, but pushing blocks over Tor, it's just miserable. And that's really maybe my biggest complaint about Tor, is that everything loads so slow. Somebody said if it takes longer than 30 seconds to load, it takes 5 minutes to load, because I go and scroll on Twitter. And that's a big problem with Tor, is things take so long. But Tor is where there's a lot of content, a lot of activity, there's a lot of community, there's network there. So that's why it could be interesting to create a bridge so that people can go play in the Tor community. It's not going to be very secure, not because the traffic going through the bridge is not encrypted when it goes through, but it would give it would give you something to play around with, something to talk about.
Yeah. So with regards to websites, though, Dimitri's had taken a shot at making it possible for people to build websites, and he was going to do a demo. I don't believe it ever happened, but I know that he did create the doc for people to start doing website creation. And this is obviously predated by a long shot everything that you've been doing with DNS. What's the next step for people to start building websites? Like, where would you like to see this in the next, let's say, 90 days? What do you want to see going on this network?
Well, his work still exists. And the reason why that didn't work out for a lot of people was because you needed to have CGDNS on your laptop or your device in order to administer that that service, and most people didn't, so that's where it fell off. Now, I think that one of the big next steps in order to get people to be able to run these websites, it's going to be being able to easily put CGDNS on your laptop. Some UI, a couple of clicks, and just run, and it runs in the background, and it gets you to be able to, for example, administer those websites that are in the CGDNS network. That would be huge, I think, because that would get that particular project back on rails, and it would get the idea, and it would also make it so that people could access websites that are in the network that the web operator hasn't decided to do reverse VPN. Which, when you're in the more amateur side of things, the operator is not going to bother with reverse VPN. It's just so much easier to just set up a little Raspberry Pi, put some little website on it and with CJDNS, and you're done. That's it. You don't need a server. You don't need a VPN exit. You don't need any of that stuff. So that, I think, holds a lot of attraction on the amateur side of things.
But now if that person builds that website in the packet network, technically any top level domain will get you to that website from the normal internet. You don't even need a reverse VPN, right?
You do.
Oh, you do. Okay.
You need both. You need the name and you need the IP address. The reverse VPN is going to give you the IP address. The name is going to give you the name. So packet names will work with reverse VPNs. It will also work with you go rent a server off OVH and point your packet domain at it. They're fully decoupled. It's just regular DNS at the end of the day. So you can use it for anything that you would use Namecheap for.
Got it. So yeah, so the next piece of this really is people beginning to build. Anybody out there with looking for a developer assignment, though, it would be amazing to take the code for setting up a CJDNS node and turning that into a little, even just push button app. That would be awesome. Or even better, a browser extension would be epic. I don't even know if that's possible, but that would be incredible if someone built that. But those are, we've always been talking about the equivalent of a VPN app that you could click that VPN button and it would port you into the packet network. And that would be pretty incredible for people to be able to run that, use that, and then give you kind of essentially a native access into websites built in the packet network. So anyways, this is like the next phase. This is why I'm really thrilled with what you've been building, Caleb. And it still feels like the first connective tissue between the packet network and the greater internet, and giving people the autonomy to customize the way that they're going to participate based on whatever their interests are, hobbies, commerce, just publishing site, information site, whatever that may be, e-commerce, in terms of running a business that, has global accessibility, right? Because anyone who puts a website on the packet network is going to make that accessible globally. And what I also love about the global accessibility, while people could say, well, I can access websites globally already, the modern day search engine, provides a lot of limitation based on SEO and SEM prioritization. So things in the packet network are going to be pure play accessible. And so what we've been wanting to do, and I guess we'll talk about the hub just in a moment, but I would love to see people starting to build. And I think this will be once people start building sites, and there are a lot of sites in the packet network, but another assignment is building at least a list of websites in the packet network, like just a directory that could ultimately and eventually include search. But think about like Netscape, early Netscape, where it was just like a directory of websites. There weren't, more than, a few thousand websites in the early days of the internet. And so as that, expanded out, the way that search results, and search in general evolved, changed the face of the internet forever. But for people who did use like early Netscape and, Internet Explorer and stuff, would have some memories of those early directories and how, how you would search for things, almost like alphabetical order of what websites were on the internet. So that's be an interesting starting point for this. And we'll see where it evolves. We'll see what kind of things people, want to build. But this really becomes like, the internet 2.0. It's just like a new chance to redefine this network in particular, the sovereign place of the internet being packet network.
Everybody uses Namecheap apparently. Ravati put a little graph of which registrars people use for staking domains, and it's like 99% Namecheap.
Well,
It's
that sucks.
also
Well, the thing that doesn't make sense is then why is the bonus so poor on GoDaddy? That's so weird because
I think that double check that, because that might have been something that was fixed in the past, because there are a lot of domains that have packet in them and are on GoDaddy, but they're not being staked. So I think that might have been fixed.
that was a bug. Yeah, because
Also-
you had seen something that said that there were like 50 or 60 domains staked out of there, and you were like, "Is that right?" So yeah.
But also, I was going to say the YouTube video that walks people through suggests Namecheap, so that could be also why people are going to it. Caleb, you also in your Substack you suggest Namecheap, so that's kind of where we're pushing people to go. But I think it's important for everyone to know that you don't have to use Namecheap, and in fact, you should try to find domains in other countries, because those you're going to get a higher reward, higher yield by being unique. So if everybody's in America and everybody's using Namecheap, well, all those people have to share that kind of batches of yields that go to those people. So if you're in Africa or South Africa and you're using a local South African hosting site, you're going to get a better reward.
Should have given an affiliate link.
Yeah.
Before we get into the hub, just some people don't know what that means. What is a reverse VPN?
It is most people will understand the term reverse proxy, or many more people will know the term reverse proxy, and it's a term you can search if you're not familiar. Reverse VPN is a little bit of our own term. It's just a VPN which is being used as a reverse proxy. So the point of a reverse VPN is that you connect to a VPN server from your server wherever. You connect it to a VPN server. Then the VPN server allows it binds a port that allows the public to access your website by forwarding back the traffic. Whenever the public makes a request to your website, the VPN exit forwards that request back to your server, which your server then responds to that request. So basically, it's what you would normally call a load balancer or reverse proxy, but because it's over a VPN, we're calling it a reverse VPN.
And the reason being that the packet network is a VPN network. So everything built within the packet network is built within the VPN itself, which is why you need a reverse VPN to bring you back to the current internet.
Yeah, and I mean, if you got a website running on a server that doesn't have any public IP address of its own, well, just connecting to a reverse VPN is a very convenient way to get it a public IP address without having to negotiate with your ISP or something to give you a public address. It's much nicer to do things that way. Any of my public sites, they're all tunneled one way or another through CDNS back to servers that I run here at the house. Well, that is any of the public sites I run out of the house, which is some of them, the less important ones. They're all running through a reverse VPN. I believe Hub is run out of my house. You want
to? So this is
there it is.
This is the packet hub, and really, what gets me excited about this is really an environment for discovery. There's so many different projects and people building disruptive stuff, and where do you find it? Unless you know what Google terms to search, it's really hard to find. And even with crypto projects, it's like, where do you find these crypto projects? Are you going to CoinMarketCap and looking up in the, tens of thousands of projects that are up on CoinMarketCap? And so the hub becomes this ecosystem of platforms and applications where people can discover new stuff, can access this stuff, and it lives all on decentralized infrastructure. Now, people can choose to just use this as a backlink and just take them to their Web2 website, but this also proposes an opportunity for people to come into the Packet network, claim their domain for audius.pkt, and go and build a duplicate Audius site on the Packet network, inside the Packet network, and that's a resilient site version of their site. And so that this becomes this opportunity to partner with basically any project, Web 2 or Web 3. That's just pretty rad. There's maybe someone else has found it, but there is nothing else that I've found that does this that is decentralized. I mean, you have Apple TV, but you're going through a whole approval process with Apple. I don't know if anyone's done that, but it's pretty annoying. And you have to follow their terms of service, even if that's not aligned with your terms of service, because you want to be in their ecosystem. And so this is just a new way to be able to tap into an ecosystem that's not just based on a chain. You have like the Cardano ecosystem, or you have the Solana ecosystem, but there's no way that the Cardano ecosystem, the Solana ecosystem connect to each other because they're built on their own islands. And so the Packet network, because it's a network that we're building here, is the kind of glue that binds all of these projects together and creates an ecosystem for discovery, which I'm super fired up about.
Yeah. And I think that is a great point. At one point we were really impassioned around, Packet being a layer one, right? And getting a lot of people to build blockchains on the network. And it's a shame because if the community had rallied around that vision and there were people actually building things, how many fits and starts that we have on Token Strike? Ultimately, no one got involved and built anything for that. So, Packet could have been the next Sui, could have a, heading towards $10 billion market cap. That didn't happen. So in reality, the focus was always a network. It was always about Packet Network. The white paper is called Packet Network. And so what we're doing here is, let's just say, like an equivalent of enabling, instead of everything having to be a blockchain or a meme coin built on a blockchain, it's really about highlighting the kind of grandiose projects, big and small, innovative projects that span across multiple different categories, unlimited categories, really, and highlight and creating a place for them to be highlighted, for them to be represented, for them to be domiciled within this network. And it can extend from traditional major monopolies like a Netflix and Amazon Prime Video, all the way down to Monster Children Television, which is like a very kind of niche film and TV distributor. It could be from like an Apple Music on one end to Audius on the other end, where Audius is an incredible blockchain based project that is kind of a Spotify competitor, and then you can have Spotify as well. So and then, as you can see, we've been adding categories that include casino, games, media, technology, and then we're also talking. We were just talking the other day about adding AI and even even a place for memes. There's so much content, so much meme content throughout the internet, and particularly in blockchain. And then those projects are across multiple different blockchains. You have like the Shiba Inu that's on Ethereum, and then you have a new project called like Lofi that's on Sui. And they're just, how do you find these things unless you're kind of like tapped into the know, or have a deep connection into crypto Twitter. And so the Packet Hub can become this, again, representation of an ecosystem where people can come and bring their project and put it there and be discovered. And we can start building an ecosystem that's cross-chain and also non-chain based. That's crypto agnostic. It doesn't matter what cryptocurrency is underlying that project, or if there even is a cryptocurrency underlying that project. And so, this is just really the beginning of creating this kind of categorization, and then ultimately within each one of these projects can be an entire catalog of whether it be games or media, and so that just becomes it just becomes really bold, really big, and I'm pretty jazzed to see where this thing begins to go. So for people out there who think there should be other categories, just holler. The other thing that you'll notice here is that we're starting to use the word packet, Packet, and talking about expanding the brand of Packet to start to kind of nurture a broader relationship with the project. So being the cryptocurrency is obviously PKT. The blockchain related project is PKT. But when we're talking about the hub and when we're talking about the network, we've been discussing, it's not in stone yet, but really discussing moving towards this Packet, just so that people can pronounce it. New people that are discovering this project understand it's not PKT Hub. And people are like, what's PKT Hub? It doesn't make any sense. But just starting to work on expanding the brand and making it so that as people discover this, who are maybe more on the or I should say less accustomed to the crypto side of the project, or maybe just have no relationship to crypto at all, can still see a distinct way that they can participate and gain value from having their project or website represented on the Packet Hub.
Yeah, and then really tying into the branding symbol, which are the squares, and having that be like just distinguishing between branding symbols, logos, how you pronounce the project, just to not create confusion. Because we call it one thing, but then everyone else sees it as something else, and we just want to make it streamlined so everything's cohesive, and when people talk about it, we're saying the same words.
Yeah. So what you'll see here, is now this is just obviously a PNG. This is just a graphic, if you will. Our developers will ultimately code this up. This will be scrollable, both vertically and horizontally within each of these different categories. There will be the ability for people to submit platforms to be able to have them represented in here. Ultimately, in the future, it'd be ideal to have this be decentralized, but we're just getting started here, and so in the beginning, it's going to be a relationship between the individual publisher and our developers to get this thing built and expanded out. But ultimately, the sky's the limit as to where this can go, and I think this is one of the more remarkable utility projects that I've seen in the crypto space. I mean, and also just the fact that this is, like I said before, crypto agnostic. So it's not specific that you have to be within the Cardano ecosystem, or even, the Packet ecosystem or the Ethereum ecosystem to be represented on the Packet Hub. So the goal here is really to build bridges between all these projects. And ultimately, I think that's one of the ways that this is going to get traction, is that projects with communities from different blockchain ecosystems will find utility within this network and representation within this network, and we'll start to build our community as a virtue of that. And people who want to make money participating, running nodes, running CJDNS nodes, running domains, etc., can do so, get paid in packet, and we'll build the brand, the market cap, the community as a virtue of all of that. So that's where this is going, guys. This is huge. This is a huge development. This is really where the rubber meets the road on packet network, CJDNS, and PKT, and kind of what we've all been waiting for with real world utility. And the next piece, obviously, is that real world utility for the actual packet currency. And Josh, do you want to talk a little bit about what we've been discussing regarding the use cases for packet cash itself, and reasons why people would hold packet, in ways that projects within the community can enable people to spend packet?
Yeah, well, I think the hub is like the ecosystem where that can all be possible. And we've been looking at building our own applications within the ecosystem that provide value that you can pay with fiat if you want to, but everybody's looking for free stuff, and so having a pathway to free is, there's nothing's free. First of all, there's always an exchange of energy. And so by creating this exchange where people are able to provide that infrastructure, and accumulate coins to be able to use that within the ecosystem. And so we've been looking at just different ways where you can either do atomic swaps between different currencies. There's plenty of places to do that. Built on Base makes that a lot easier to be able to do swaps between currencies. And so that becomes a huge opportunity, and just creating different partnerships within the ecosystem where you're able to use it. And since the network is a network itself, you can be able to engage with Web 2 platforms as well. And so some Web 2 platforms don't even have a currency that they're using to be able to process payments. And so there becomes an opportunity to be able to use packet as that currency for some Web 2 projects that are trying to get into Web 3.
That's a great point. And also, Coinbase allows you to swap into USDC for no fee. And that's really powerful. Obviously, being that Coinbase is also an off ramp. I don't know. There's probably a lot of countries it doesn't work in. Certainly works well in America. They absolutely pillage you on fees. But regardless, it provides an incredible off ramp and on ramp into the crypto ecosystems. And we also just saw a partnership with Apple Pay that they're enabling you to use Apple Pay to get money into the crypto world. So, I mean, these are just huge bridge. I mean, Apple Pay might be just about the biggest bridge that you can imagine. We know that Binance US became a crypto only exchange. They cut off all, integrations with banking, but Coinbase is arguably the most formidable. I think there's also Moonshot, and a couple other bridges out there that are providing those on ramps into crypto. But the goal here is, and again, where I'd like to see this go is you're providing infrastructure, powering the packet network, you're getting paid in packet. You can choose to sell that into USDC, or you can use that to, and this is where I would love to see it go, is that you can use your packet to pay for content, subscriptions, goods and services within this ecosystem. So, well, ultimately, I think being EVM compatible, obviously built in the Base ecosystem, is going to simplify the way that people can use packet to pay for regular goods and services. Even if that vendor who's accepting packet wants to get paid in USDC, like they just don't even care about the currency, no problem. That integration is already capable of happening. So, I see a world where someone could pay their Netflix subscription with the yields off of your, stake to earn on PKT. So, and then in that case, we're integrating the wallet. People can just pay with their earnings, buy content with their earnings, and that creates like actual utility for the packet currency. Even if we're ultimately having that swapped out across the DEX or various centralized exchanges coming in the future here. And if people don't even on the recipient side want to hold packet, it doesn't really matter. It's being used as a value exchange, and it can be denominated into whatever fiat currency you want. And it just provides a great value on the consumer side, where you can take this nominal, relatively passive action and earn money, earn value that can be used to pay for the goods and services that you pay for, whether it be your Amazon Prime subscription, your HBO subscription, your YouTube subscription, your Netflix subscription. So why not, right? And this really becomes a very unique value proposition for crypto, or just otherwise. It doesn't have to be a crypto specific thing. It's just ultimately what we've devised that creates this opportunity. So that's pretty thrilling.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, we're rounding over the 1 hour mark. We've talked a lot about the Packet Hub, also the new DNS and staking. If you guys are here and you're new to Packet, go grab yourself a bag and get staking. Pair with some infrastructure and get involved, because things are starting to heat up. And when the Packet Hub launches fully and is available, I mean, it's going to be a game changer for this project.
Yeah, definitely. There are a couple things that I just want to push the community to. So we've really had a push over the last 2 months, let's say, around domains. And a lot of people took action. So hats off to all those people who took action, got domains, have been staking domains. It's been a little bit of a slog to get, dialed in. We, found a couple, I hate calling them a bug, because it's not a bug with our tech. It's a bug specifically with like GoDaddy and some of these registrars that are, effing around and not creating compatibility, literally saying that like the domains that you need to link to aren't registered. There's some weird funkiness. We'll ultimately figure it out, but right now there's still some issues there. Regardless, thanks for everyone's fortitude in getting these domains staked, 45 domains staked. But as you're looking from an infrastructure standpoint of how you can maximize your yields, the next frontier really is going to be CJDNS nodes. And if you go to the infrastructure page on the dashboard, you'll see that domains are paying approximately, I think it said 100, little over 100 packet per million yield credits, whereas it might be like 160 or something like this. And whereas CJDNS nodes are paying over 500 packet per million yield credits. So the opportunity is to set up CJDNS nodes if you really want to maximize. Now, let's say you have, 10 million packet, right? So valued at, approximately $11,000, $12,000. So you can only stake $5,000 onto a CJDNS node, $5,000 worth of yield credits, right? So what that means is that if you have 1 million packet and you stake it for a year and you get the 4x yield multiplier, now you have 4 million yield credits. Well, you would be able to stake that onto one CJDNS node, because that's a little bit less than $5,000 worth of yield credits. If you had 10 million packet, and you were on a 4x yield multiplier, that'd be 40 million yield credits. You would literally need approximately 4 or 5 CJDNS nodes to be able to stake all of that. So you could leave some of it on your domain, and you could go set up 2, 3, 4 CJDNS nodes, and then you can spread those yield credits out across those CJDNS nodes, and that would literally 4 to 5x your yields. So people who want to maximize their yields are going to want to go set up CJDNS nodes. There's also advantages, essentially bonuses, if you set up those CJDNS nodes. If you go look at the map on packetnode.network and you see where there are not CJDNS nodes, you're essentially going to get even better yields if you set up CJDNS nodes in those areas where there aren't CJDNS nodes. And then you also, one thing to take into consideration is that if your CJDNS node does not maintain over, what is it, Caleb, 95% uptime? I think it's something upwards in the 90%.
It's a smooth scaling, but you want to keep it up there with domains and
What's
other
the number?
stuff.
Is it over 90?
No, it's there's no shelf. It's
Oh.
it's a smooth, but at 90% you only get 80% of your yields. So
Got
you
it.
really want to keep it up at 99%. With domains, it must be over 90% or you get 0.
Got it. So you really got to keep these things up. Any hiccup in your accessibility of these nodes, then you really get penalized heavily on yields. But by finding these jurisdictional gaps in the map, regional gaps in the map, and putting your node in those areas, you're going to be rewarded in terms of your yields. So anyways, it's a long-winded way of saying, like, go set up your CJDNS nodes and maximize your yields. And if, a lot of people got a yield haircut, when we went into domains, and then a lot of people moved on to domains and the yields decreased. And but there's a huge amount of opportunity over on the CJDNS side of things. Also,
just to add on the CJDNS nodes, just to add on the CJDNS nodes, there's 2 ways to do it really simply. Number one, that we did a partnership with Akash, and you can just go on Akash and get a server, and the actual the template to run a CJDNS node on Akash is easy. They made it real simple. You just go and search for the template, and you just go and add the packet. I think it's called the CJDNS template, and you can just go run a server yourself on Akash. The other real easy way to do it is to go get a mini from PacketPal, and that's a plug and play way to do it. The only kind of thing you have to do is forward the port on your router, and then you just plug that thing into your router, and it runs a node for you. And then PacketPal also stakes on your behalf as well to have you generate yield. So it's assigning yield credits. We're also building out some new products as well to be able to manage your CJDNS node on a hosted standpoint as well, which we'll be talking about probably on our next one. But in the meantime, if you're wanting to go take advantage of those, literally go over to Akash today or go to PacketPal today, and that's just a real easy way to get a node.
Yeah, I just want to talk to, I just set up a mini, and yeah, they're $280. But what's cool about it is that once you have it, you own that device, and you're staked to earn forever. It's already built as a CJDNS node. So yeah, you might be like, oh, I'll just go set up my own CJDNS node for, 20 or 30 bucks, 40 bucks a month, whatever you find your node, your VPS. Some you could probably find some that are cheaper, and I'll just do that. But then you're paying that every single month for as long as you want to run a node. With the mini, you literally, it's a one-time payment, set and forget, and it runs as a CJDNS node. And I just set one up. I was actually like daunted by it. I was like really resistant to do it, and I didn't know how to forward a port. Because it's specific to every ISP. You're essentially logging into the router that your ISP has given you, but it's so easy. Once you do it, you go in there. It literally has an option for port forwarding, and yeah, we need to actually add this to the docs for doing port forwarding. Make it a little bit more generic so people can do it. But yeah, once you get in there and do it for the first time, it feels foreign, but it's actually really easy. And then bang, you're just able to assign $5,000 worth of yield credits to your mini, and you're yielding. And as Josh mentioned, additionally, PacketPal provides a baseline amount of yield credits to every mini. So you get, you're earning every single day in addition to whatever you end up staking onto the node. So that's a nice little bonus.
And
that,
you can add additional stake to it as well. So if you
Right.
have, PacketPal assigns yield credits, but also you can go assign your own yield credits if you have your own treasury.
Yeah, exactly. And it is a great way for anybody who, has under $5,000 worth of packet. And by the way, if you stake right now, it'll lock in the value at today's value of packet. So even if packet, 10x's, you'll be locked in at the time of your stake, which, right now you can put, upwards of, upwards of 4.5 million packet per CJDNS node right now. So it's really, really lucrative. We get back up to yield credit, excuse me. If you get back up to, 5 cents, that's going to be a nice advantage to be locked in at that level. The other thing, as Josh just alluded to, is we're right now working on a new product for PacketPal to offer hosted CJDNS nodes. And yeah, I'll just touch on this really quick, and we're going to have to sign off in a moment. But essentially with this product, there's two products that we're going to be offering. One is just a turnkey CJDNS node. It's going to be managed by PacketPal, and then you'll be able to, just to maintain the uptime, maintain the regional diversity, and so you have maximum yields, and then you'll stake your own yield credits that you possess in your wallet to the node. There's no risk of, PacketPal having access to that because it's all specific to your wallet. It's just that PacketPal will do the infrastructure side. That way you don't have to deal with anything infrastructure related, setting up and maintaining a CJDNS node, or even paying for it beyond just like a one-time payment on an annual basis to PacketPal. We're going to get that product up. A lot of people have been, just not wanting to deal with infrastructure. So it's a great service to be able to offer. And then the second piece, then this is the thing I'm excited about as well, is to be able to offer yield credit packages. So whereas PacketPal will essentially be able to rent you yield credits on a quarterly basis. So you can, rent 20 million, 40 million, 80 million yield credits for a period of time. And those 100% of the yields off of those yield credits would go to your wallet, and all the requisite infrastructure, CJDNS node infrastructure, would be operated by PacketPal to give you the yield off of those yield credits. So PacketPal would handle the infrastructure requirements, PacketPal would handle the stake requirements, and then you would just get 100% of the yields. And we built it out so that the yields are well in excess of the costs. So it's a profitable endeavor for people that do take advantage of that. I'm excited to launch that product because I think it will give certain people a taste and of the yields without necessarily having to go buy, tens of millions of packet, which obviously would be an expensive endeavor. So anyways, a couple cool things coming down the pipe from PacketPal, and yeah, just really wanting to build out this ecosystem, give people, the opportunities to both build and benefit.
Yeah. All right, boys. Well, a lot of information, a lot of cool tech, and while everybody's in the community looking for where packet's going, you can see there's a lot of stuff being built behind the scenes, and also hands down to some of the people building some cool stuff as well that aren't on here. Being able to track the nodes, we were just pulling up all that stuff about being able to track the domains, that's built by community members that are contributing on their own accord. So bravo to the community for stepping in, building some cool widgets and tech and things that are very useful. So let's keep on keeping on and take this project to the promised land.
Yeah, for sure. And for everybody who's on this stream, I just put the link to the Packet Telegram. Hop on over there, join the discussion, and you can always go to the Discord or pretty much any one of the social platforms and reach the community and ask questions and get involved. And yeah, we're excited for the future of Packet.
Yeah, absolutely. We did. I'll just give a quick 2-minute or in closing about the Network Steward. So we did activate Network Steward, and we did engage the marketing team that just started really yesterday, actually, or Monday, actually. So,
To the
but
kickoff
really got,
call on Monday, they
yeah,
just got engaged and activated their team yesterday, and
yeah.
so it's in full
So,
swing.
anyways, we'll start seeing some real action. Great guys, really, really excited. They're passionate about the project and filled with, you know, exciting ideas and ready to take action. So that is just getting started. I just want to give people a little, little update on that, and thank you for everyone's vote and support in getting that done. Obviously, it's a few month initiative, but it's just starting really this week, and we'll start to see the growth that I think everyone has been yearning for in getting this thing going. So with the hub, with marketing, just kind of gearing up now, and a bull market around the corner. It should be very exciting. Finish the year and really just looking forward to 2025 and putting all this stuff in motion.
Cool.
Fantastic. All right, guys.
All right.
Well, thank
See you in
you
the
all,
chats.
and we'll catch you in the next one.
All right, cool. Take care.
Cheers.